What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck. All right, we're taking a ride in my automobile. Man, I gotta go into the office. Y'all got to work because the courts want me, I guess, is there a such thing as debtor's prison? You still throw people in jail for being broke, for not having money? I got another order yesterday about this guardian ad litem, and I told the court flat out, my attorney unfortunately has to withdraw from my case because I can't afford the attorney's fees. I only got my attorney on because I thought we had a final hearing scheduled for May 28th. And then that judge who came in and started smoking, highly inappropriate judicial misconduct that should be reported. Just basically adjourned the matter and just ordered a guardian ad litem. And then the court puts in writing in an email, thank you for that I testified to something. First of all, I want a court of record. I want a copy of your transcript, and I want to see where I stated anything about being able to afford a guardian ad litem. Because they think having a job means you can afford all this stuff. When my attorney had to withdraw because of my financial hardship and not being able to afford my attorney, if I could put it on a credit card, I would. If I could pay for a guardian ad litem, I would pay for a guardian ad litem. I can't afford it. I just don't have the money. That's it. It's that simple. I told my attorney 1,000 times in that hearing, please tell the judge to proceed with the final hearing today. I cannot afford for this to get adjourned. I can't afford for this to be stalled any longer, because the longer this goes on, the more attorney's fees I have to pay. Now he's ordering a guardian ad litem. If I could afford it, if I could put it on a credit card, if I had anything, I would. And then the one measure I have, which is my GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe where I ask for help, for the guardian ad litem fees. I'm not asking you all to help me with my attorney's fees because I just can't afford an attorney. But if I had to pay for anything and raise money for anything, it would be my guardian ad litem, which is the attorney or representation for my children. Because unlike the court, this is not a joke or game. This is about my kids. People keep telling me that. You got to play the game. What's the game in this? This is about my children. I gave birth. These are my kids. These are my babies. This isn't a joke. This is about my children. So no, I won't. It's hard for me to see that as a joke or game. I don't know what they're playing, but I thank you for putting in emails that I testified to something when I'm not giving an oath or affirmation, 1 or 2. I want your court of record, because you definitely should see in there where the judge lit up something and smoked. That's judicial misconduct. That order should be set aside or vacated. Not sat here and then you all are like doubling down on that. I'm going to file a motion to have it set aside. And if I have to appeal this whole thing, I'm going to go to the highest court that I can get to that still would have the Georgia Supreme Court. Who, Lord, they finna be busy some more. So I'm going to file an appeal, because you don't have judges smoking court hearings and then you want to sit here and uphold their order. How does that happen? Explain that to me. And then you got your attorney saying, I testified to something. I'm going to need your court of record. I'm going to need the transcript where I said anything. Because I never said that I could afford a guardian ad litem. I never testified to that at all. The devil is a liar. As a matter of fact, I told my attorney, you might want to tell him to go ahead and just go on with this final hearing today. Because I can't afford for this to be adjourned. I can't afford none of this stuff. I can't afford none of this. None of it. So we need to move on and proceed with the final hearing today. The judge want to go on vacation? That's not my problem. You perform your duty as a judge and you conduct this hearing. That's what should have happened. And he didn't do it. So, I mean, y'all want to produce a court of record and show me where I said anything? Because I didn't say that. My attorney didn't even say that. She said she has a job or situation is different. That doesn't mean that I can afford a guardian ad litem. Still doesn't. And she had to withdraw. Poor lady. She put up a good fight, though. Ooh, Lord, she put up a good fight. I thank God for my attorney. I really do. But I hired my attorney specifically for the final hearing, because I didn't go to law school and I have no desire to remember all them dumb court rules. And every time I have to be pro se, this court forces me to have to learn this stuff. And that's not going to go well, because I think it's just about time for people to be held accountable. at this point, whether you're in a court or not. It's just high time for you to be held accountable. It's high time for these judges to be held accountable, DAs, prosecutors. When you're doing all this misconduct and stuff, when you're being biased, when you're smoking in courtrooms, when you're unlawfully, holding attorneys in criminal contempt of court because they won't tell you who told them something that's privileged, or you're sitting having, ex parte communication, Judge Glanville, and you're more obsessed at who told someone something that the defense attorney for Young Thug had every right to know. Because court rules, case law, and precedents has already been set and established. You take a 5-minute break to try to find case law to fit your already made up mind about holding him in criminal contempt? Are you kidding me? So now the Georgia Supreme Court is going to be extra busy because they just got through removing Christina Peterson, a probate judge in Douglas County that was elected. Now you got to go and tend to Judge Glanville and his nonsense that he brought upon himself. He did that. No one told him to do that. And now I have this judge smoking in court who should be retiring. I don't even know why he's still trying to do. Go and retire. You want to go on vacations in Athens, Georgia? Go retire. Like you've been doing this for about 30 years. You can stand to retire. Why are you still pushing forward with this nonsense? And you smoking in court. I hope that's on the court of record. Because you will not find me testifying to being able to afford a guardian ad litem on the court of record. The devil is a liar. You will not find that. No, ma'am. Please don't lie on me in emails that I can use against you in my appeal. Don't do that. Hey, that would not fare well for you. And yet the court gets upset because I say these things that are absolutely true. If it's a matter of a party line of politics, I'm so sick of both Democrats and Republicans alike. I'm voting for the independent. Who's running for the independent president? That's the person I'm voting for. I'm voting for the independent. I'm sick of both. I don't care if you have a DOR behind your name. What does that have to do with the Constitution, state statutes, federal laws, case law, precedents, court rules? What does that have to do with any of that? Just do the right thing. Whoever that attorney is for Young Thug, he needs to run for the district attorney of Fulton County. You could easily unseat Fannie Willis on an adequate day. It wouldn't be hard for you to be voted in as the Fulton County DA. I would vote for you, sir. I don't even know the attorney's name. Whoever the attorney is for Young Thug, I would vote for him to be Fulton County DA. I really would. Because he stood up for his client and he did what was right. He made the right decision despite Judge Glanville's, misconduct, unlawful contempt of court. And I watched this video where these two attorneys said, in the courtroom, the judge is the king. In the courtroom, the law is the king. And the judge should just be enforcing and upholding the king, which is the law. That's how that should work. Not a mere mortal that is bound to make mistakes, because judges are people too. Just like the judge that lit up a ciggy and smoked in my hearing. He's a person as well, but I just don't think that he should be treated like he's king. And he has the right to have that type of judicial misconduct go on. And then no one says anything. And then when I do, oh, it's a horrible thing. You're calling him out. No, he shouldn't have smoked. He shouldn't have smoked. I can still report him to the JQC. That is an option for me. Court of public opinion seems to have a lot more sway than a court of law. And that's where we are in this reality. Where a court of public opinion has more sway than a court of law now. Where you have an attorney willing to stand up for a court rule. And then he's held in criminal contempt because he won't tell a judge, who told you I had ex parte communication with the DA after the witness was sworn in and testified. You have court rules and case law that says you shouldn't do that. There's precedents already set for that. So I hope the Georgia Supreme Court hears that appeal from that attorney about Judge Glanville, because the Georgia Supreme Court is going to have to correct that precedence that's being set. You're going to have to correct it. This is why higher level courts exist. When the lower level courts want to do a boo-boo, they got to be put in timeout. And that penalty has to be, all right, go in timeout. You go sit over there in the corner. I don't want to hear your mouth. You're on punishment. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to set this straight. We're going to get back to what the law states, what case law has stated. We're going to uphold the precedents that the courts have upheld, probably before Judge Glanville became a judge. This makes no sense to set a horrible precedence where you have judges unlawfully holding attorneys in direct criminal contempt of court for citing case law and for saying, I have every right, based on court rule and case law, to be a part of ex parte communication. You had a witness in your chambers with the DA and I was not even notified of it. And you're asking me who told me? Is that where we at? The Georgia Supreme Court is going to have to handle that, because now you're going to have to set that straight. You're going to have to say, this is not what case law and court rule has permitted any court to do. Not just this court, not just the court in Georgia, not just Judge Glanville. All judges are held by the law, and no one should be above it. That's why I don't believe that judges are kings in their courtrooms, or queens, because we have female judges too. So but that's why I don't believe it. I don't agree to that. Judges are kings and queens in their courtrooms. No, the law is king and queen, and judges are only bound to uphold that law. That's it. When there's misconduct, I shouldn't feel threatened and be retaliated against for saying that a judge should not be smoking in court in a Zoom hearing. But why is that a threat to me? I'm sorry. Child, Lord, God gonna have to get off the throne. So here's where we are. I wanted to just put that out there just to remind you all that this GoFundMe is still up. They want me to take that down. A GoFundMe where I'm asking for help for a guardian ad litem. Mind you, I reached out to the guardian ad litem that was ordered. And, the father makes a lot more money than I do. I've only been working for 7 months. Like I said, if I could afford it, I would. I had to get a loan for my counsel just to handle the final hearing. And they still decided to adjourn it. They didn't ask me, can you afford for this case to keep going on for eternity? No, I cannot. This needs to end today. No one asked me about my financial situation. They don't care. Child, they don't care. It would be funny if they did, because it would just be like, oh, y'all act like y'all. So you all are humane a little bit? No? Okay. So don't expect me to care about a judge smoking in court. Why you expect me to be okay with that? Don't call the judge out for doing what's actually wrong and judicial misconduct. But yet, you testified. You said I what now? That's a lie. I call a lie a lie. I call a thief a thief. That is a whole lie from the pit of hell. I didn't testify to anything. As a matter of fact, I didn't even get the chance to speak. And if you have a court of record to produce, please do it so I can also show where the judge started smoking. Come on with it. It's a 2-for-1. We're gonna knock out both birds with one stone. We're gonna knock them both out the park. Because not only will you have to prove that I testified to anything and said anything about being able to afford a gal, I have a job. I just got 7 months ago. I can't afford you people. No, ma'am, I cannot. Nope. You talking about $5,000. Wait. Who, child? Because that math is blowing my mind. So no. I can't afford you people because I don't make enough money to even do that. And if I could pay for it, I would have paid for it and been done with it. Instead of me getting an attorney for what I thought was a final hearing, the presiding judge, who's supposed to be assigned to my case based on court rule, because there's a court rule in effect that I guess court rules don't mean nothing to judges. I guess I don't know how does that go. But yeah, they don't have to follow court rules at all, huh? There's a court rule called 1000.4 where I last year had a motion filed and granted to have that court rule exercised. I didn't know it was no longer in effect. Court rules run out of effect. There's a time limit on court rules being in effect. How does that go? How does that work? But yeah, court rule 1000.4 for the case to be with the presiding judge. the judge on May 28th that came into our Zoom hearing and started smoking is not the presiding judge. That was not the presiding judge. Do you understand how horrible this court will look if I had to file an appeal? I'm actually sparing them from this. If I had to file an appeal, it would not look good at all on this court because there's so many things that went wrong. If I had to file an appeal, because I will. I mean, I'm just kind of like, just do what you're going to do so I can file the appeal and we can all move on. Because there is no way you're going to sit here and say, oh, nope, I'm going to keep filing an appeal until this goes to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I don't care. I just go, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, I'm on my way. It's just going to be a matter of time, I guess. But if I have to go to the United States Supreme Court, I'm going all the way there because we're not doing this. So, I mean, there's a court rule in effect. The judge that came into the hearing on May 28th was not the presiding judge. So I'm like, well, why is it the presiding judge on the court rule, based on court rule 1000.4, hearing this case right now? So if they read everything in my file, they would know that. They didn't. So you don't read motions. I have a lot of motions, even motions that were still valid, were not heard. The petitioner lied. So they took my physical custodial rights away. They didn't take legal custody away from me. My youngest son wants to live with me. He has an affidavit of election. Nobody cares about that. If they're forcing him in a parenting plan of custody, he hates. My child is like suffering over there. He's like, I hate being over there. And I think more so my kids just hate not being able to have access to both parents equally, because that's what they've had all this time until last year. And I'm the respondent in the matter. And before they sit here and say, oh, you're saying all of this in the court and this is a matter of privacy, everything that goes on in the court can be FOIA'd. So it's not a matter of privacy. It's just not. This is available to the public. Y'all can just FOIA the information. I put the case number out there. You can FOIA it. They want this stuff sealed, seal it. File a motion to have it sealed. Please do that. I would love for you to do that. I would love for this case to be sealed. But unfortunately, you want everything to play out in the court of law. So everything's available to the public because that is how it works. I am not voting for Democrats or Republicans. They're oh, good God in heaven. So the Georgia Supreme Court is about to get really busy because now you're going to have my case going on an appeal because it will be appealed. If I can't get a fair hearing and due process and I can't have my side heard, how are you going to say I testified to something when I can't even be given the opportunity to talk? You allowed the petitioner's attorney to lie. She gonna lie because she's a liar. That's just what she does. She's a liar. She also has a horrible Instagram page. But some attorneys just when they have no case, all they can do is lie. So I'm not even upset about that. I'm upset about the fact that the court did not challenge her lie by asking for evidence. Because shouldn't everything in the court of law be objectively done? It should be objectively based on evidence and facts. Not your subjective opinions and assumptions that are false and not even validated. There's no foundation to have of the court's opinion, and I don't have to agree with it. I have the right to disagree with the court. I have the right to object to the court saying, oh, we're going to take custody away because they accuse you of physically beating and abusing your children. 2 children who are teenagers that still want to spend time with me and see me, and one wants to live with me. But you have no evidence to prove it. What a vicious lie that is. Talk about defamatory. And then the court didn't challenge that at all. That judge who smoked did not say once, do you have evidence to prove that? Then I'm not entertaining it. You see that? I don't have to sit here and go back and forth with a lying ass attorney. All you have to do is challenge it with evidence. Just like someone saying I testified to something. You have a court of record? Because I want that court of record either way to show that the judge started smoking. So you'll be telling on him as well as proving me right when you produce your court of record. Not one time did anyone say I can afford a guardian ad litem. Those words never came out of my mouth or my attorney's mouth whatsoever. She said I have a job, but I cannot afford a guardian ad litem, and I had to get a loan to hire my attorney for what was supposed to have been a final hearing based on Court Rule 1000.4 that should have been adjudicated by the presiding judge. How much more can I say went wrong? Lots. But if we got to keep going to court, it's going to come out. I mean, it could be foyed. It could be foyed. So when I file my appeal, because that is going to be inevitable, because I have been denied due process and a fair hearing this whole time, then everything will be released to the, to the public, because it's already available to the public, because it's in the court of law. That, the Georgia Supreme Court, I guess, is going to have to inevitably hear, because Fulton County Superior Court just acts like this is a joke or a game, and somehow they want me to play a game about my children. Did I miss something? Yeah, okay. All right. So you guys, please check out my GoFundMe that they want me to take down for some reason that could be used to help pay for the garden at Lightham. I'm not understanding that whole premise at all. But either way, check it out. If you can donate $1, that's great. If not, just pray for my children and I to just get through this. Because, if I have to be pro se and represent myself, I will be filing an appeal. That's just gonna happen. I don't need biased judges in courts that think they're kings and queens. I need a judge that can at least say, we're gonna just uphold the law. All right, if you're gonna make a statement, you need to have evidence. You need to have some sort of evidence and documentation to support these allegations you keep throwing up. And here's the thing. The petitioner and his attorney have already admitted on the record in a hearing to that presiding judge for a motion that I was granted that has not even been signed. See, lots of things going wrong in this. Motion hadn't even been signed. Going back to March, never signed my order, my drafted order. I was granted that motion. Order never signed. Order never signed. It was drafted, edited, saved. The opposing party was good with it. Never signed. Nope. Funny how the pro se person is trying to do things the right way. And everybody that went to law school doesn't even want me to say that a judge was smoking in court. Jesus Christ. Where we at, Lord? All right, so, order never signed. Order to compel, never signed. Never signed. But I was granted that motion. Did I tell y'all the judge never signed it? But they already said on a court of record, they have no evidence. So if they want to say what was testified to, let's talk about the fact that the petitioner and his attorney have already said there's no merit to this case. They have no evidence to prove any of their allegations. And somehow this is still a thing because, I guess biasness and favoritism wins in court of law because that's where kings and queens are. Not the law. The judge is king and queen and not the law. The judge is king and queen, but not the law. No one cares that laws are still in effect. Like, we have laws. No one cares about that. No one cares about the fact that our Constitution rules against and advises against. Let me say rule. Advises against biasness in the court. Advises against judicial misconduct. Our Constitution advises against the court failing to remain impartial and objective. For all of these reasons, because you're about to waste of tax dollars if you're going to do this stuff intentionally and force this matter to go on and on and on for no reason. Either way, I'm going to file an appeal because I have not been given a fair hearing or due process, despite all the other things that's going to be listed and reported. So how is it at the end of the day, God is sitting on the throne and just he's the only one that can just move his hand and determine how this is going to go. So how does the court think they're winning this game that everybody keeps telling me that they're playing? You got to play the game. Why is this a game? Why? What game? My Lord, I am voting for the independent. Ooh, child, because if it's not something weird with Republicans, it's something crazy with Democrats. If you guys are doing this, allowing judges to sit in courtrooms thinking they're kings and queens and not the law because of political parties and affiliations, then we really need to stop. We need to stop and think twice about what our country is going to look like in 20 years if we keep thinking about political parties and not the premise and the foundation to why this country was established the way it was in the first place. We have checks and balances in place. We have 3 separate but co-equal branches of government. If you got to beg a Supreme Court to intervene on an appeal to hear a matter where there is serious judicial misconduct, serious incompetency issues, like with Christina Peterson, serious failures in the judge to remain biased, to uphold court rules and establish precedents that's been in effect for decades. With the case of Young Thug and his attorney, you have a man that is going to jail unlawfully. Come on, we need to rethink these things. So you guys check out my GoFundMe, because this guarding ad litem is still a thing. I've told these people I cannot afford to pay. I can't. I'm not making that up. I mean, I produce my paycheck stub to my attorney. I don't know what's happening. I don't have a reason to pretend with the court. I don't. I'm not going to start now. I never have. All I want to do is be able to have my opportunity to present my evidence and my actual testimony for my children. And I can't even be granted that. So I don't even know how they think this is gonna, how is that gonna just continue to go the way it's been going and not expect an appeal from me. No, an appeal is imminent. I don't even know what to, oh child. Either way, God has the final say so of it, over all of it. So I ask you all to pray for my children and myself. I've been trying my best to do what I can. I mean, if I don't have the money, I don't have the money. I just don't. I would not ask for a GoFundMe. I wouldn't ask anybody for anything if I could just afford it myself. I wouldn't be doing that. But there's a reason why I have the GoFundMe. I'm asking for help. That's it. Pure and simple. It's not required. It's not mandatory. It's not anything. It's just help. And if you can't financially provide even $1, listen, just pray for us, because God's going to have to do something. In the meantime, he's given us the ability and the intellect to do what we can here on earth as human beings. That's why he has attorneys and created the institutions called law school. It's because I just can't afford one right now. I can't. I'm in debt over that, so you guys, I'm here at work. I'm pulling in, but you guys just keep us in your prayers. My children don't deserve this at all. I didn't ask for this. I'm the respondent. I would never drag my children through these dumb court battles like this. I wanted this to end May 28th, and it didn't end. It's still going. God, it's still going. But you guys be blessed. I'm going to do part 2 today. I have a couple videos I need to put out. But I'm going to do part 2 to Super Stupid Mayor Tiff Henyard, where the hens are coming back to the yard to lay eggs in her empty brain. The skull. She ain't got no brain. This woman is not of this earth. So she's still, doing the nonsense she's doing. I have a part 2 that I'm going to post up. But you guys, be careful, take care of yourselves, and Lady Luck is out. Peace.